Welcome to Tuesday morning on the Stansbury Show. We're on Rock 106.9. We're online at WRQK.com. And if you missed any show last week, the week before, year before, decade before, grab them all right there at WRQK.com. You can follow along on social media on X and Facebook at Stansbury Show, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Dan.Stansbury there. And your studio is textable at 330-450-7625. There's also the microphone talkback button if you happen to listen live on iHeartRadio. Easy ways to reach out to the studio. Now, that number you will need a couple of different times today because, well, it's 7:45. I'm going to get you into Avenged Sevenfold. You'll have to forgive me. I haven't looked up under any good, including, is this Keith Wallen, Headspace Holiday. This coming up at 9 o'clock. I like the beginning. A little 90s feelings. Nothing wrong with that.
I just can't seem to get you right. Always the one I love to hate. I just need a way out. I think I need a headspace.
That's Headspace Holiday from Keith Wallen. We'll give you the rest of that for New Tier Tuesday, 9 a.m. Also, new Lainey Wilson. Country's cool again, she claims. The in and out of style and that whole thing, and country's kind of cool again. I think she missed this song idea by about 4 years. Country has been, since I've been in the radio business, it's been the most successful music style there is. There are more country music radio stations. It is more palatable for most people. A lot of people might not like country music, but you're not going to be morally opposed to it. It's not like one of those kind of things. That's why you'll hear it in a lot of businesses. A lot of overhead speakers will play it. It's because it's like, all right, it might not be your favorite thing, but you're normally not going to be morally opposed to it. But I think she missed the idea of country's cool again by a couple of years. But we'll take a listen to the rest of that Lainey Wilson. Then, buddy, you know what else I have for you Tuesday? I have new Ace Frehley. We'll take a listen to this, Walking on the Moon. Just kind of leaning into that spaceman thing because Ace has one gimmick and that's it, and he's gonna ride it out until he dies. This is the album that was supposed to make Kiss look like fools. So I'm on the edge of my seat. Because like Gene and Paul do a pretty good job making themselves look like fools. They don't need Ace's help with that. Yeah, that didn't work. New $60 million against the cap. You're stuck. So it ain't about your browser history, because apparently local porn searches are going to skyrocket today. I'll explain why next on the Stansbury Show. On the Stansbury Show.
Kind of funny you can listen to him on your smart speaker.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
The Stansbury Show.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
On Rock 1069.
7:45 this morning, I'll get you hooked up with Avenged Sevenfold tickets. That show's March 9th, right around the corner on that one. Saturday night, that's not bad. I'm gonna have to go to that. We'll get you hooked up with some tickets at 7:45 to 500. Rained out on Sunday, so they raced yesterday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. guessing because they wanted as much time for the track to dry out as humanly possible. And I had bet Denny Hamlin. I don't know this sport at all. I'm a casual at best NASCAR viewer. I watch NASCAR the way a lot of other people will watch any other sport. It's like 35 laps. All right, a little Shawshank on TNT. Go back to the NASCAR race, 35 more laps, a little more Shawshank, right? That's kind of how I do that. But the Daytona 500, I've said this about wrestling. Dude, if you get me to your Super Bowl, I'm going to watch it, right? Like, I'm going to watch that kind of stuff. And I like NASCAR a little bit more than people who hate it, right? But I have been out of the loop. I had been a Kevin Harvick fan traditionally. I didn't realize he had totally given up the racing, and he's now in the booth. I think that was his first time calling the 500 yesterday. It was not my favorite, if I'm honest, but he may get better at it as the time goes on. I bet Denny Hamlin plus 1,100 to win yesterday, and Kyle Busch plus 1,400, meaning $100 would get you 1,100 or 14, respectively, for each driver's odds on winning the race. I also bet Joey Logano to win the chase for the Cup. I have him winning the Cup Series this year, a ticket for that, and I have a Kyle Busch ticket too because, well, I clicked on the wrong thing and bought the wrong ticket. I had a great shot, fully secured there. He was screaming yesterday. And I, of course, was rooting for that, right? $1,400 win, that would be big. I would like that a lot, but I did not get that win. William Byron, I believe is his name, won. I think he was plus 1,800. A listener of mine actually had that ticket. He was laughing at me this morning. I woke up to that. He was laughing at me, tagging me in it, and telling me, ha, you bet Hamlin. Ha, you bet Kyle Busch, the guys that raced up front all damn day. Ha, I bet a guy who was racing in the back of the pack, and after 40 cars were wrecked, he won. Right? Like, it's like, that sport's crazy. As a matter of fact, if you haven't seen, I'm into like the behind the scenes type shows, that kind of stuff. Netflix dropped their NASCAR version of that. It's only 5 episodes. It should have been longer. It's just, maybe I just enjoyed it and I'm looking for more of it. But Denny Hamlin in that said that NASCAR's a lot like golf. That you can be killing it, and I mean killing it in your career, and you win 6% of the time. Like, that's how difficult it is to win in those sports. And I do seem to like solo sport. I like watching a little tennis. I'm not completely wrong. You're kind of doing it. There's no, now I know these days the golfers talk about the teams and the caddies and all of this, but at the end of the day, you're out on the course. You have to hit the 9-iron. I know, the pit crew and all that. It all matters. For sure it does. But who's doing 186 miles per hour, 3 inches apart from the other drivers? You guessed it. It's the driver, right? And it's kind of that whole thing in the moment. Yes, you rely on teams, but in the competition itself, you're kind of on you there. I think I like that. I think I as much as I like the NFL, NBA, some other team sports, if you drop a touchdown pass for Mahomes, now a great quarterback doesn't win. You might be a great receiver. He might be throwing to a great one, but you could just be a receiver, right? Like a guy. And now all of a sudden, if you drop a ball, now this legacy thing is kind of affected. Where in golf, in tennis, in NASCAR, it's kind of like, nah, dude, you screwed. I mean, yes, the pit stops and all that, it can come into it. But while you're out there actually competing, it's kind of on you. And I think I like solo story. I love the NFL, so it's clearly not the only thing. So I think some local porn searches away at the age of 36 years old. Cagney, obviously, I don't believe her real name, had committed suicide. She was found in her apartment Thursday. This here in Ohio, Parma, Ohio. The Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office received her body Thursday, according to TMZ. An official with the police department told the outlet that Carter had died by suicide. The adult film actress began her career in the mid-2000s, moved to LA from Ohio, back to Ohio from Los Angeles is what they mean to say here, back in 2019. She had opened a pole fitness studio. Those had gotten kind of hot for a little while. I think COVID kind of rejuvenized that, where it was like, we're going to whip ourselves into shape by spinning around on a pole. It is hard work. As a person who had dated a woman who danced and like invested in her career, she called it, and bought a pole for her living room that she could put up to like practice at home. It's like the amount of times I watched her fall learning those pole tricks, like it ain't easy. Like we can laugh at it, like whether or not it's a workout class, right? Or what it's masquerading as. We can do that. But whether or not it's difficult and takes strength to hold yourself up there, that cannot be denied, right? So she apparently had been back in Ohio since 2019. A GoFundMe has been launched. They're looking to raise $8,000 for funeral expenses. My guess is money much more than that will come in, as it already has. We do have a quote here. Unfortunately, despite all her many impressive accomplishments and talents, Cagney struggled with mental health issues as the years passed by. Even in her darkest days, however, she still showed up to the studio, always ready to learn, contribute, better herself in whatever small way she can manage. As alone, she undoubtedly felt within the confines of her own head, she continued to make an effort to show up for her friends in the community who cared about her. This is one of those unfortunate things about being a almost celebrity. And I know that sounds mean, but it is true. It's like nobody cared about Cagney Lynn Carter opening that pole studio at all. Most people didn't even know it was a thing. I bet most porn viewers who watch her videos didn't even know she was from Ohio. But she died. And so now all of a sudden she gets skyrocketed to the top of the pile, and everybody is kind of way in here. And unfortunately for this woman is, what is everybody going to do? They're going to talk about her career choices. And people are going to hit the very easy button of, well, you made your bed, now you're going to lie in it. Which of course is a little, well, unsavory, if we're going to be honest. But I don't think we can just look at people who say, maybe like myself, who this line of work isn't great. Now, I know she hasn't been doing it, right? She hasn't been doing it, right? I think that's what it could have been happening. But she knows she did. She knows she did. And so when people suggest that people are doing things that is not coming from a good place, just shouting that down over people having their own truth and they're, blazing their trails and this and that, like maybe not. Maybe that's not what's happening. Now, plenty of people in my industry have committed suicide. Plenty of people in my industry have committed suicide. So I can't just make it about pornography. But what I can tell you for sure is, did some of those people in my industry commit suicide because they had deep, serious regret over the fact that they took their personal life and laid it in front of a train for everybody to drive over it every single day? Well, the answer there is yes.
You're never too old for a good morning kiss. The Stansberry Show, Rock 106.9.
It's 330-450-7625 to send a text to the studio. You'll need that number at 7:45 to win your way into Event Sevenfold. That you'll call for. Also, 9 o'clock is New Tour Tuesday. New Keith Wallen, new Lainey Wilson, new Ace Frehley. This came Lambertish. Yeah, I could hear that a little bit in there. Lainey's song is Country is Cool Again. We'll take a listen to that. New Tour Tuesday, 9 a.m. A lot of this job is about prediction. And I always say I will never shy away from strong prediction, ever. I don't expect myself to be 100% accurate while predicting. Right? I'm human. I'm going to get things right. I'm going to get things wrong. It happens. Right? And I like the victory lap when I'm right. I enjoy that. I'm also willing to admit when I have been wrong. I probably haven't done it every instance I've been wrong, but I think my track record is pretty good. In one area where I've been a little wrong here is the movie industry. Like, I've screwed this all up. In COVID, I thought, well, it's over. You're the middleman. Nobody needs the middleman. More and more movies are coming straight to just press play on my remote at home. People got 70-inch TVs and sound bars and all this stuff. The at-home viewing is better than ever before. Sports has been kind of dealing with this problem as well. So it's over. You don't make anything. As well as they were in 1989, probably not. They're not extinct. They've kind of figured out a new model. Die-hard fans will come into the theater, then we'll put it out in streaming, and we'll kind of get everybody. I also said I believe people are going to rush right back into physical media. Once you take it all the way away from them, they're going to freak out, man, and they're going to realize, oh no, I gave something else away. I want it back, man. And I just read this morning, we may talk about this later or even tomorrow on the program, that Best Buy now, yep, removing all the physical media movies out of their stores. I don't know what they're going to sell anymore. It used to be where I went to go buy the headphones I'm using to do this show. They won't even sell them in the store anymore because they plug into something, and nobody needs that anymore. So yeah, I had to order this set online straight from Sony because nobody sells them in the store anymore because nobody wants them for anything. Except for people who have this job like me. I've been kind of wrong about this movie. But we all kind of felt the dying off of some of the superhero movie type stuff. Now, you don't have to be a genius to predict this. Something burns that hot to the sun, get ready, there's going to be a flame out that happens. It's not totally here. The Batman did pretty well at the theater. They're making another, I think 2 more. Long, it goes against everything I said about movies too. Like, Jesus, dude, 3 hours? That movie was long, and I enjoyed it. I bring it up because now apparently what we call biopic has been released at the theater, and it's outperforming a superhero movie. So places like Variety and Page 6, which are like the original TMZs, they're all talking about how this is a major shift in movie making. And this is a shift now in audiences, in viewing. The movie that's outperforming it is One Love, the story of Bob Marley. Now, I've said plenty of times, I am not a reggae person. Put a pin in it. We're going to get to that here in a second. But apparently the Bob Marley biopic is beating Madame Webb. Now, I think this is what it has to do a lot with, or this has a lot to do with it. I think people know the superhero franchises. Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Batman, Robin, Superman, The Joker, Wolverine, Black Widow even, The Hulk, you know what I mean? Captain America. You know the franchises. But they ran through a lot of that kind of stuff. Iron Man, when it came out, like, even everybody who made it said these, like, niche heroes, which I think are perfect television shows, maybe not theatrical releases. I think it's a lot to do with that. Beyond that, I am not surprised even a little that the Bob Marley movie's killing it at the box office. Every article I'm reading here is talking about overperforming. I guess my expectations would have been a little bit higher. I get pushback on everything I say in here, and I mean every last thing I say in here. Somebody somewhere is upset about it. Let me tell you, when I trash Bob Marley, poof. I mean, you'd think I murdered somebody's children. People love him, and that's my point. I think what people want out of the movies now, and have forever, not now, forever, we want storytelling. I've told you, I am not a reggae fan. Like, I hate this. Jamming? Hate it. Hate it. This sounds like audio diarrhea being forced into my ear. That's what it sounds like to me. You know how I sound to you? Yeah, that's how Bob Marley sounds to me. Now, if I'm drunk in a bar, and we get to the middle of this one, and I've had too many drinks, I'm not going to be sitting there in my chair going, could you be loved? Could you be loved? Yes. Like, that's probably going to happen if I've had too many drinks in the middle of the day at a bar. That's probably going to happen. Yeah, I'm probably going to sing along with it. I'm never going to go out of my way to listen to that in my car. Ever would I do that. Just not going to happen. It's not that I hate Bob Marley the man. That's actually what we're talking about. I just don't enjoy the sounds that it makes. But why I think Bob Marley's doing well at the theater, and this is for sure part of it, is say what you want about Bob, and God knows I've said plenty. I do think we have one thing in common, too, if you add the marijuana into it, but the second thing in common would be authenticity. People tell me all the time, oh, dude, I hate your views. I hate the way you look at things. I hate, but you're authentic to who you are. I believe you that you believe what you're saying. And I like that. That's authenticity. And I think Bob Marley had that in spades. For sure he did. And his life was interesting. His story is interesting and worthy of a tale. So even though I don't like jamming, and I hate jamming, I mean, I cannot freaking stand jamming. It makes me want to jam sharp things into my ears. I cannot stand it. But I want to go to the theater to see this movie because it's about the man. It will be about the music, and I'm going to have to roll my eyes during some of it. Like, oh my God, dude, the song sucks. Everybody thinks it's good, but it's like, dude, no woman, no cry, end of career, right? And like, you can kind of wrap it up. But that's how I view it. The story is worth telling. And so it's worth it to me to sit down and watch it then at that point. We've just reached the end. We've just reached the end of the superhero thing right now. Give it a couple of years, maybe a year, 2.5. Here comes another character people didn't think could be a blockbuster, and then you'll get another one. But I don't think this is about the fact that is not as much about the fact that it's superhero fatigue. It's like, no, dude, this is Madame Webb. I'm willing to bet most people listening to me this morning are hearing Madame Webb for the first time right now from me this morning. That's your problem with forcing it into the theater and putting it up against Bob Marley. However I may see him, that man is a musical icon for most people, and there's a reason why. His story was worth telling, so it's worth seeing.
To all the teachers who said he'd never amount to anything.
That is correct.
Lucky guess. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
I have Creed tickets for you, 8:45. You win your way in. Show's got 3 doors down on it, too. That's a pretty good night. Not bad.
Hold the fuck up.
That's just like 4 hours of, hey, I know that one. I know that one. Oh, man, I forgot about that one. Did I know that one, too? Just the frickin' hit parade. We'll make sure you get in, 8:45 this morning. All right. We talk relationships a lot on the program. It's because most of you are in one. And if you're not, most people would like to be in one. Now, there are, of course, people who don't, right? And there are plenty of people who say they don't. But in reality, we know they would rather be. Everybody's out there. There are people who are happier alone. There are. There are also people who are lying to themselves about the fact that they're happier alone, and they're going to realize that one day. Sure. Sure, too. And then there's some of you that just got it figured out in high school. It was like, this is my person. I'm staying with them. We've been married, 4 kids. We're good. We're golden here. Everybody exists. It exists, sorry. But it can be tough out there. You know? I hear a lot of my buddies who are divorced or maybe never been married, and it's kind of like, well, we don't go to the bar as much as we used to now, and we don't get together with other people as much as we used to now. All my friends got married, and they kind of moved on without me, and it's just I'm the weird elephant in the room. If they invite me, that person exists too, right? So a lot of people will rush to what? The phone to try to find somebody else. I understand it. It's not for me. I've said it plenty of times. But a buddy of mine who I know listens every day met his wife online. And if I took you to dinner with them, you would look at those two and go, relationship goals. But if I told you, well, they met on this app, you'd go, I don't know about that. They do have a little bit of a reputation, right? And it's because they're all out there trying to do the same thing, and some of them are lying about what they're trying to do, right? So, like, you got ladies on Tinder talking about how I need a nice guy, and if you're looking for a hookup, just move on. It's like, well, take that to eHarmony where it belongs. This Tinder. Trying to get herpes up in here, right? Like, that's what Tinder's for. That's what that's for, right? And there's dating apps all over the place now. A world full of people that don't want to be put into a category. Man, do dating apps kind of disprove this, right? Farmers only, black lovers only, this person. I mean, there's literally a religion one. I forget the name of it now. Is it Halos only? Is that what it is? I don't know what it is, but it's something. God, for a nation full of people obsessed with talking about how we're all the same, it's like, man, do you guys like to be sectioned off and only go date the person you want to be dating, right? I've said there's nothing wrong with that. You can be accepting of all things, but who you sleep with, you should be a little bit more strict on, and what you're attracted to and what you're not. Like, don't let anybody make you feel weird about that unless it's against the law, for crying out loud. I bring it up because something tells me this dating app I'm going to talk to you about is going to be seen as like the bad one. It's called the Score. And the Score's requirement is you must have a credit score of 675 or higher to join. And people are going to feel looked down upon. And you're going to hear about the elites, and they're out of touch. But nobody listening to me today should walk away thinking that a credit score of 675 makes you elite. It doesn't. It will be positioned that way, but it doesn't. So I figured this would be a good exercise for us while talking about this. Credit scores. I have the microphone and you all do not. So I guess what I should do is tell you what my credit scores are. I'm pulling these from Credit Karma. I can tell you that when I ran my mortgage loan application, they came back and told me, dude, your scores are actually higher than what that app is telling me. Sometimes they'll be lower. A lot of times, and they told me this. They're like, hey, by the way, if you're leaning off your Credit Karma scores, just understand that they can come back really low or they can come back that much higher than that. That's not necessarily dead proof of anything. But right now, as I look, my TransUnion score is like 751 and my Equifax score is about 775. So many of you listening to me right now with a 500 credit score have more money in your bank account than I do. Credit score doesn't always tell you about financial, like what you have at your disposal. But what it does tell you is about responsibility. There's no denying that. Because having a decent credit score is about doing what you're supposed to do. Paying more than the minimum amount due. And never making a late payment. I used to be so bad at this. Because I had the money and I was just lazy and I don't feel like putting checks in the mail. This was before online payments. And then, yeah, technology, as much as I bitch about it, it's made me a lot better about this because it's like I don't even look anymore. It's like, I know, it's just coming out of the account. Great. And the payments are on time. The company behind the new app states that users will not see your credit score. And your credit information will only be used to qualify potential users for the app. They want a baseline of who's allowed on this. We need to take the conversation to areas where finance isn't traditionally discussed. That's Luke Bailey, co-founder and CEO of Neon Money Club. Quote, before you can educate people, you need to get their attention. With Score, we're bringing the conversation to dating. More and more people are asking these kind of financial questions early on dates, first, second, third date. What kind of money do you have? What's your savings account like? What's your credit score? I think it's a little early for my personal liking. However, how many of you got married and didn't know how much debt the person you married had before you got married? A lot of you did that. A lot of you did that. How many of you are dating somebody long term, have no idea how much money they make and how much money they owe? Because in this country, it's considered to be uncouth to ask. It's improper to ask. Or was. But people are going to look down their nose at this. But what I'm going to say is, I'm told every single day in every article I've ever read, every study I've ever read, tells me there's a handful of things that break relationships up. Lack of intimacy, lack of conversation, finances. That's it. Now, I know I just told you the credit score doesn't tell you how much money you have. No. But it can tell me about your level of responsibility. Can is what I said there. Can tell me. For anybody that's upset about their 400 credit score and it's somebody else's fault, right? It can tell me about your responsibility. I was making the same kind of money I'm making now. And my credit was in the trash because I just didn't care enough about getting my life in order. Do you know the amount of apathy it takes for that to be true? It's ridiculous and saddening when I think about it. It's okay now. I got everything back on track, got the money I need, investments, I got credit scores. I'm doing fine.